Chris and Ryan, and we know that you're dying to hear what we have to say today. I say we hear what we have to say today. It's the blank. Fill it in. Fill it in. Fill it in. Yeah.
Young world. What's going on, everybody? It's Ryan from the blank. Unfortunately, another week, but fortunately, the last week I'm having to do this by myself because Carlos will be back for next week. I believe his plane actually lands on Friday back in Canada, so we're gonna have a big welcome for him. I'm excited for the episode, definitely when he comes back. So I'm sure that all of our listeners are excited to hear all the crazy stories that Carlos happened to go through out there. I know I am. That's for sure. I'm gonna be grilling him the whole time, and I'm sure it's gonna be the welcome back, kind of like the Mace episode for him, except from Ghana and not to the rap game. But in this case, I just wanted to say thank you for joining into another week. It's gonna be another short episode. I don't really plan on going that long. It's really just to ensure that we have some sort of content for our people that are listening, even if it's just a couple of minutes. It's really just me ensuring that I want to say thank you to all of our listeners coming in for another week. And shout out to the people who have been listening. And even I find like there's some underrated people that I had no idea that they were even listening. So thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, and Carlos's as well. But like I said, last episode by myself, Carlos will be back next week. Yet again, his plane does happen to land on Friday. I'm hoping he brings back some cool stuff, as well as some stories and maybe some cool T-shirts or something like that we can maybe share on the episode. But definitely, it's gonna be great to have him back because I know how probably these solo episodes are pretty dull in itself. But really, just wanted to kind of keep the show going as he was gone. A couple of different things that we want to talk about today. Just a couple of current events that I was hearing about. And something that's kind of close to my heart that I only really found out today, which is kind of funny enough. But I think it's super interesting, at least on my end, in relation to this whole kind of journalistic binge I've been going on since Carlos has been gone. But the very first thing, it is fucking huge news. Donald Trump did happen to get indicted with a bunch of different charges. I'm really excited to see what happens with that one. I'm sure that, even if you aren't a fan of politics, if you're not a fan of Trump, if you are a fan of Trump, if you don't give a fuck, if you don't even know who Trump is, which I'm sure that there's certain people in the world that do know that or don't know that, but dude got indicted, so I'm really excited to see. I don't really have any sort of opinion on it, I don't know, waste of taxpayers' money, I guess, on my end, but we'll see what happens. I'm really interested to see what the judge comes up with, how long it's going to be delayed, and if it's going to be one of those public trials where literally it gets shown on TV, kind of like the OJ shit back in the day. It's going to be crazy, so that's got to be one of the huge ones, and I'm sure we're going to duplicate that because I'm sure Carl's has some definitely some crazy opinions on that specifically. Another one was this interesting thing about Richard Branson. If you don't know who Richard Branson is, I believe is his name. He is the owner of Verizon, which started, I guess he started doing a whole bunch of moon landing stuff and trying to get into space. So recently, over the last couple of years, I think they've been creating a sort of new venture to create rockets. And I saw this whole diagram where it's launching rockets from a plane. And the crazy thing is actually today, I think they released that they went bankrupt. So crazy because it's a multi-billion-dollar sort of venture in itself to sort of get us to a certain point. But his company happened to go bankrupt. So a lot of people probably losing their jobs, a lot of work that happened to be wasted, which is super unfortunate because things like space travel and exploration is pretty, I would like to say, super interesting, maybe not important for everybody, but I think it's something that's always really cool to think about. So definitely go check that out if you are sort of interested. To keep into space news, I believe it's the autumn or something like that, but we're actually sending a few people into space. For NASA's coming up with a project where we're actually trying to get a spaceship behind the moon. And I think it's like the first people that are getting into what they call is like deep space, so to the point where you won't even be able to see Earth anymore, which is fucking madness. And the reasoning for that is really it's a stepping stone where they want to use towards to get potentially onto Mars. So you know this sort of stone in itself, and we haven't really been sort of organizing anything or trying to get onto the moon to use it as a resource for land or whatever it may be, but I think that this is sort of a stepping stone in itself. So yet again, another project that NASA's working on. If you are interested in it, definitely go check it out. Just crazy, like crazy to think that human beings can explore to that depth when realistically, like over a couple hundred years ago, people were fighting over the dumbest shit. Well, thousands of years ago, but still, we've come so far as a race, and a community in itself from there as well. So I guess one of the last things I wanted to kind of talk about, and I did happen to find out about it today, which is super odd. Um, but it's kind of close to me because I live the sort of the background, or at least my parents are from the country in itself. But for those who know me, I do happen to be Cambodian. You know, I consider myself Canadian, but Cambodian by my parents. They happen to live there, came over during the war, whatever it may be. But there's this whole term going around on the internet as of recently called Claimbodia, where pretty much it's a lot of the surrounding sort of countries, specifically Thailand, and a little bit of Vietnam, where they're sort of hating on Cambodia for Cambodia sort of claiming everything as their own. So that's why they call it Claimbodia. It's kind of an offensive sort of word that they're using to sort of bring down Cambodians in itself. The hard part about it is like seeing a lot of the videos of people going to Cambodia and just shitting on the country in itself, just being like, oh, it's fucking technologically like disadvantaged, like it's primitive, like they're very old in their thought process. It's dirty, it's disgusting, this and that. And even like when you hear some of these comments from people that truly claim it, whether they're Cambodians themselves or people that belong to Thailand, or not even from any one of the surrounding countries, but they just are fans of Vietnam and Thailand, and how badly they shit on the country in itself. And I really want to try and make this the least biased as possible. But it's crazy to see how people that are so closely related get into these odd sort of arguments and sort of these odd differences between each other, when realistically we're all the sort of same, especially in that region like Laos, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia. All of us are pretty much the same sort of individuals coming from history. Yeah, like there's those specific differences with like jurisdiction and culture and small things like that, but realistically, I can't really tell the difference if I go talk to a Thai person, or I can't really tell the difference if I talk to a Laos person. Like there's those subtle differences that people really hold on to, and realistically we are kind of all in this bunch area where we're not really looked at as a superpower in the world, and like politically like people make fun of us or whatever it may be. And yeah, Thailand's doing better on a global scale in relation to Cambodia, but it's like, man, you use those tools to be able to bring each other up as opposed to to bringing each other down. um it's really sad to see like people that are so closely related, like things I was reading on the war in Bosnia, and how like there's war going on between the Serbs and stuff like that, and how closely related those people are. They're realistically from the same jurisdiction, like a walk in the park. Like you could throw a stone in the next neighborhood, and it's like, man, these guys are different from us. But truly, we are all the same. Like things like even, I'll probably get a little bit of flack from this, but the war going on in Russia, closely related, like very, very similar. You could be throwing like a rock over, and it's like, man, like we're all kind of the same people. We're all not really, but yeah. And it's tough to see, like when people are so close, and they just happen to fight over the smallest shit. So really unfortunate circumstances. Like I don't want to take it any more than that, because definitely there's a lot of fucking politics behind it and a lot of history behind it, and those things me being, I sound super ignorant just like saying it, but I guess my end goal realistically to this is that hopefully we can all just sort of fucking figure it out, because all this fucking war shit and like hating each other online and all that kind of stuff really needs to just stop in itself. And like, you know, as cheesy as it sounds, but like world peace is realistically the end goal, or the want in certain circumstances, you know. So honestly, crazy. Opened up a whole bunch of doors. Didn't even think that was going on, but you know, you definitely can find the craziest things online, which is super cool. And I guess, you know, the journalistic aspect is like, man, like if those conflicts and those kind of things weren't happening, then journalism wouldn't be a thing. You know, Carlos and I probably wouldn't have much to talk about, I'll be honest with you, if we weren't kind of bringing up those situations. So, um, just a crazy sort of thought process that I was going through today, just hearing some of the stuff that people were talking about. And it goes back and forth. I'm not saying that, you know, Thai and Vietnamese people are in the wrong. There's definitely Cambodian people that are in the wrong in this case too. But just one of those things to view it from a third party perspective and be like, man, like this is nuts. How much people are hating on each other for that kind of shit. So wild. But in this case, I am going to be cutting it short. I went over a couple minutes and what I was expecting to actually do it. There's a long weekend coming up, so I wish everyone a beautiful and happy, peaceful long weekend. You know, for those who are celebrating Easter, wish you wonderful celebrations for Easter, whether you're going to church or whatever it may be. Have a great time. And yeah, just enjoy the weekend, even if you don't happen to celebrate. You know, take the day off, put your feet up, get something good to eat. Maybe grab a beer if you're into that. You know, I am. I'll drink for you if you don't. But definitely just enjoy the weekend. Enjoy your days off. Thank you for listening. You know, I definitely do appreciate it. And we're expecting Carlos in the next episode. So, you know, cheers to that. So, love you all. Thank you very much for listening. Another short episode. Appreciate everything. You know, any support that you guys happen to be putting into us. So, honestly, thank you. It means the world to me and Carlos. Definitely. I hope you noticed that I shaved since the last episode. So, okay, well, cheers. Thank you. And then yet again, fill it in. Check out our poster, and hopefully to have some merch and all that kind of stuff sometime soon. But we'll go from there. But thanks everybody. Peace.